This is a beautiful example. And here's another, and this is right in your village. Now we're seeing the same things that we saw in that other house, but on a little more modest scale. We have the center door, and this time we have a place where there was a fan over the door. A lot of times that's just blank now. Sometimes it can be glass, but usually it's of wood. We've got the paired windows on either side, and we're facing the road here, and this is well taken care of, in good shape. And the fence came in later, because we didn't have wrought iron fences when this house was first built. This is to the Federal period. So the side lights are going halfway down. So that's a symmetrical Federal period house. And here's another. Same thing we've just been talking about. And there's no shutters now. We didn't have shutters on our early houses. The shutters came later. And sometimes there's too many shutters. They don't look right. It was too crowded. So this is a more simple. Notice how close the foundation is to the ground. And that's very typical of the early homes. And apart, and so when you see a house that has low to the ground, chances are it is an early home. So we've got the center chimney again in the center. The Federal period. Looks like the windows have been changed a little because the panes of glass got larger as houses got newer. The early panes of glass were very small. Here's another Federal. And this is, you know where this is? Yeah, right on 115. Okay. So, do you know the year, Louise?
No, I thought it was 1880.
Yeah, no, it's much earlier than that.
Much earlier.
Yeah.
These things were there a long time.
Yeah, when you go inside, there's Federal features inside. There's wide board wainscoting, chair rails, and Federal fireplaces over the mantles over the fireplace. So here are these shutters that we were talking about. Now, is there room for two shutters in between those windows, or are they overlapped, or is there one shutter? It just doesn't look quite right. So the shutters came later. And lots of times the houses originally, L's came later. So this may have been a woodshed, which is now converted to a huge, modern, beautiful kitchen. And there's a master bedroom upstairs, master bath, all kinds of things. But the original house is early. So I would say, I don't know, but I would say 1780, 1790, maybe 1800. Here's a close-up. So see those shutters that we were just talking about? They don't work. It just doesn't look quite right. Now these windows are large. The panes of glass are large, and the windows themselves are large. So they have been altered. And when you see 6/6, this is more of the middle of the 1800s, the Victorian era, the Greek Revival era. So the original windows perhaps were smaller, with smaller panes of glass. And this happened. As people changed ownership, they wanted their house more modern, and as the new brides came in, they wanted to make changes to the house. Now here we have another change to this early house. We have Greek Revival molding. See how wide that is, and how heavy this is? So somebody modernized this Federal home in the Greek Revival period, and that's our next era that we'll be talking about. Greek Revival is from 1820s up to 1860s. If you have fireplaces, that's early Greek Revival. If you have stoves, that's later Greek Revival. And we still have that granite foundation, and we still have it low to the ground from that Federal period, but we're seeing some changes. And here's a simple Federal. No shutters, but these are Victorian windows, 2/2s. They would have been 9/6s, little tiny panes of glass. And there is that center door, the symmetrical windows, and that fan we were talking about. Only the fan is gone. So it would have been right there in that place. It can be put back. And this actually has a beautiful doorway. These are all tiny little mitered corners, and it's raised panel, and it's a work of art. It's very, very beautiful. Somebody altered the side lights. The side lights would have been single panes, but they have these multi-pane things. That's all right. Someone else can put it back. And here is a simple farmhouse in the village, and it just looks kind of ordinary, but when you peek under that porch, you have a very interesting front door, which you can't see when you're riding by in a car. So this is the Federal period. There's a lot of mitering there, all those different angles and moldings, and it's very lovely. Storm doors new hinges, but that's all right. In this blank space, there may have been panes of glass they called lights over the door to bring in daylight into the hallway. So here we have an early cape. Now we were talking about low to the ground, the symmetric door, the windows on each side. Look how low that roof line is. So when you see that, that's a sign of an early home when it's low like that. There's no room up above at all. So this is a low posted cape, center chimney, and it's been altered. It would have been larger than that. And so again, this is in the Federal period. And here we have another. Have the door, see how close that roof line is? But we have some changes here. Somebody has done skylights. And I try to tell people, I know that you want light upstairs, but it's important to put them on the rear of the house where no one can see them. Don't put them on the front where everybody has to look at them.
You want to back out to the gate ahead of it?
Except that my back bar upper doesn't work here. You push this down, I can go push it. Can you do it? Okay,
I
yeah.
can tell you that's low to the ground because I laid on my back and my side and foundation.
Do you know the age of the house?
No, I don't. If you go inside and look around, you'd say late 1700s.
Okay.
But the real estate changes show it to be 1840 or so.
Okay.
So I really don't know. I expect it was built as part of another estate that it was combined with and separated in 1840. Is my guess.
Okay.
But I do have the names and the history of the owner.
That's
The chimney was
wonderful.
topped out just before the roof was put on.
We do have that at the museum.
Good.
He gave us that.
That's wonderful. Yeah.
But
And
I will
if
tell you that foundation is not very high.
if you trace the deeds back and you find land and then you find land with buildings thereon, that's the clue. But it doesn't mean it's the house that's there now. It could be a log cabin, it could be a house that burned, it could be all kinds of things.
Well, the property that this was aligned with was, the house was moved in 1850, but everything else is younger, is older.
Yeah.
It was a small house that was moved in whether they had a fire or what, I don't know. I
Yeah.
almost think the barn is older than the house.
What street is this on?
That's Center Road.
Okay.
The corner of Lawrence and Center.
Yeah. Now, we were talking about the early house with the windows tucked under the eaves, low to the ground. But here, creeping in, is a Greek Revival side doorway. It's pretty fancy. When you see that point over the front doors, over the windows, and over inside the doorways and windows, that's the Greek peak. So that's a sign that there were some changes made. So that's an early house that's being a little bit modernized. And you have to really look, but see right here, see that wide Greek Revival? There would have been something there, but it's gone. And see it right there? See how heavy that is? So Greek Revival, 1820s up to 1860s. And we see a lot of Greek Revival homes everywhere. Brand new door. I don't know what that is. And this is a classic Greek Revival. It's just a wonderful home. The Drews, John and Deborah Drew lived there. It's right on 115, and it is inside. It was used as a summer home for many, many, many years. So when they bought it, it was as original as it was built, and every bit of woodwork in that house was gold, and all the there was wallpaper, And they have made it into a year-round home. So I've seen it before they bought it, and I've seen it while they've had it. So here's what we were talking about, Greek Revival, how heavy and how large. Greek Revival is square, blocky, strong. But now we're seeing a shift. That front door is not in the center anymore. It's on the side, and we're seeing the gable end facing the street instead of this side of the home facing the street. So we have a change in our architecture, and you're going to see a lot of homes when you start looking around that have this side entry front door and have the gable end facing the street. A little bit of Greek Revival there, and a little bit of that peak that we were talking about. But it could be an early house, but I don't know. I'd have to go inside to tell you if it was built in the Greek Revival period or not. And there it is. Again, side entry, front door, gable end. Okay, heavy. Okay? The next period after the Greek Revival period is the Gothic Revival, Gothic period. And when you think of Gothic, think of churches, because a lot of churches were built in this time. And so we are starting to see pointed dormers, we see arches, we see a lot of features, and I did not find very many Gothic homes in gray. You have to go to Portland or Gorham or other places. When you see chimneys like this, they are stove chimneys because they're very thin, and the center chimney is gone, so we call this a nest of chimneys taking the place of the one center chimney. So this may have been an early home that they added this dormer in the Gothic period, because dormers came later. As their families expanded, they needed more light, more room, so they added the dormers later. This is on Center Road. Now this is just a beautiful, beautiful home, right, coming out right in the village. Durgan's? Okay. And here we have all kinds of wonderful things. So the Victorian era is starting in gray. And we cannot say a house is Victorian because there are many, many styles and subspecies of Victorian architecture. So this is one of them. What we're having is Italianate, which is one of the earliest forms of Victorian architecture. The Italianate period, 1860s. Do you know the year of this house, Louise?
I think we have it,
Yeah.
because there again, it might be a different date from any of the others
Yeah.
too.
So we're
I
starting
don't
to
remember
see
dates good.
Italianate, which comes in right after the Civil War and goes on into the 1870s, 1880s. We're seeing dental molding under the eaves. We're seeing paired windows. We're seeing incredible, beautiful tops over the windows. We're seeing bay windows come in. We're seeing brackets underneath. So this is a beautiful home. It's large, and I think it's empty. No?
No,
Okay.
the granddaughter was there.
Oh, okay.
No, daughter?
No. So we were just talking about the Gothic a little bit. This is a sweet early house with eyebrow windows, those little tiny peekaboo windows up here, eyebrow windows. But we have a little bit of the Gothic trim creeping in. Now, was that portico put on after the house was built? Probably, and somebody wanted it modern. And we have a Victorian front door with the 2 panes of glass in it. Those would have been etched glass years ago. So this is right across from the shopping centers on Route 100. So that's a little bit of Gothic. And this is Beehive Drive, the big, beautiful home at the end. And Jim and I owned this for a couple of years. And here is that wonderful Gothic tower turret, but it's quite Victorian. And Jim rebuilt that porch. We had pictures of what it looked like, and it was in bad shape, and so we tore down the old and put that back. Probably not original to the house, but it was important to put it back. So, wonderful house. It's now a 4-family. Now, the next type of Victorian architecture is mansard or Second Empire, and that's because of the roof. You see this little type of roof. It's a different way of doing dormers to get light into that area up there. And I didn't find very many mansard roofs in gray. Again, go to Portland and you'll see them everywhere. But I only found 2. And so this is an Italianate house that we were just talking about. Brackets and dental work and bay windows, starting to get the porches and the filigree. An Italianate Victorian home with a mansard roof. And this is right in the village, on Route 202, going out just beyond the shopping center on the left.
Douglas House.
Douglas House, okay?
Now, isn't that a history on that roof that in the French?
Yeah.
That was a case of, that they put the windows in the roof of the house, that they didn't have to be taxed so greatly, something of that effect.
All I know is it was invented in France and it came over here. And the man who invented it, his last name was Manserat. And we've just copied his name and shortened it a little bit. It's a wonderful barn there, and the barn actually looks earlier than the house when you go inside. And it could have been moved. They moved barns, they moved houses a lot. But it's unusual to see mansard on the front and mansard on the L too. And they can take a cape and then add a second floor and put that type of roof on. I've seen that before too. We're seeing hoods over the doorway. If you can see that little bit of a hood. So that's the Victorian era. Again, Italianate style. And here it is. You're single, but they wanted more room up there. They added the mansard room and roof and all of the collection of dormers. You know where that is?
Yeah, this is right on the line.
Yep. Yep.
Werner, W-E-R-N-E-R.
Yep, Werner House, yep. And that has one of the hoods we were just talking about, the double Victorian doors with the windows inside.
I think that was also a Houston house.
A Houston house, yep. So this type of roof wasn't invented until 1852. So whether this was an early house, if this was modernized and changed, I don't know. But chances are this house is after that, so maybe 1850s, 1860s. There's a close-up. See how beautiful that is? And the double doors we were just talking about. A little side porch. So they don't have the side lights anymore. They have those windows to bring the light into the hallway. The side lights are gone in this era. Here's another, again, a mixture of styles. It's not just one. We've got that Gothic peak that we were talking about, but we've got Italianate, dental. Dental means teeth, these wooden projections, and that type of bracket. So an Italianate house with a Gothic point to it.
That was a Higgins.
The Higgins house. Okay?
That's a long name.
Yep. Then another style of Victorian homes, which I didn't only found this tiny bit of, is called the stick house, and it was a very short-lived Victorian period. And if you look here under that hood, instead of the fancy carvings, it's just wood pointed. It's called the stick style. We see that on porches and we see that on the hoods, but we don't see it much in houses. If you go to Brunswick and you go to Portland, you will. So we were talking about Victorian, so there's your bay window again. Some are walkout bays, that actually is a floor. It's a great place to put a Christmas tree. And some are not, some are only the half bays. Some are curved. Here we have the hood over the door, we have the side entry door, we have that Gothic peak. So see houses combined and have a little of one style, a little of another style. And so it's really important, not necessarily to put them back to original days. You want to show the history of the home and keep and treasure each of the changes. Because if you put them back to original, you wouldn't have kitchens, and you wouldn't have the kitchens we have now, you wouldn't have bathrooms, you wouldn't have, yeah?
There's about 6 houses in West Falmouth with the same style, with a dormer.
Yeah.
And they have double doors, and I think they were all built by the same person.
That could be, yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Some are 2-story, some are 1.5 stories, but I think there's at least 6
Yeah.
right in that area.
And that's fun to do if you can find that and trace the workmen. Like that beautiful door I showed you in the earlier pictures, there's about 7 of those doors in Yarmouth. So did that same workman come from Yarmouth and come over here and build one there and build one in Wyndham, because I have another one in Wyndham? Or did they just go over there, see them, copy them? Who knows? Now, we were talking about Victorian, and the later part of the Victorian period is a shingle. So see those shingles? And lots of times they were painted different colors. Now, you've heard the term painted ladies for Victorian homes. We didn't have that here. That was more of a California tradition. We're a little bit more conservative. But we did use shingles, and they can be two colors. Like these could be a green, and then this could be a cream down here. But we didn't have 7 or 8 colors on our houses like they do in California. We talked about the paired windows, so there's a pair, and we talked about the fancy caps over the windows. So this is a Victorian home built in the shingle period, and with several things from the Italianate all joined together. And again, side entry door, gable facing street, paired windows, brackets and dental work under here. So, Italianate, or it could be, you could call it a simple Victorian farmhouse. And here's another. You know where that one is, because you can tell by what's next door. Yep. There's the windows that we talked about, the bracket. Okay. Simple. And here's another simple one on Center Road. Side entry door, hood, bay window. So these homes, without even going inside, I would say 1870s, 1880s. But if I went inside, I might find something that would be earlier.
We went into that one, that had suspended ceiling.
Yeah, right. Sometimes when you're looking at new Victorian windows, but they took out the old ones, recycled them, and put them out in the barn. So check your barns. If you have tiny panes of glass and it's old and wavy, chances are it may have come from the house out front, or they may have gone to the dump and recycled, just like we do. So just because you see a thumb latch on a door doesn't mean that it came from your house. It could have come from the neighbor's. So same thing we were just talking about, side entry door, hoods, bay windows, but these are Victorian windows, 2/1, and the original windows 6/6 are out here. A very small barn. And that's up in the village. And this isn't a bay. It looks like a bay, but it's not. It's actually 3 windows together with this huge hood and those big brackets. The brackets are some of the largest that I've ever seen. See how big they are? Over there. There's some fancy carving. It doesn't show up well here, but they're very, very nice. And there's the hood.
Did the shutters have been original to those types?
They may have been original to this period. The shutters came in 1830s, 1840s, and they were actually very practical. They were meant to be closed, and they kept out rain, and they kept out intruders. They could be latched on the inside. But at the end of the 1800s, they were more for decoration. So these are appropriate to this period home. But they may not be appropriate if they're vinyl screwed on. And there it is. Isn't that amazing? I just, but guess what? Vinyl siding. And what a shame. I know it's a cure for a lot of people to not have to think about painting, because that is hard to do every 7 or 8 or 9 years. But we call vinyl the final solution, because what it's doing is holding the moisture on the wrong side of your house. And when you take it off, you could have a lot of rot and insects and other problems. So it's not always the best. Here's those 3 windows again, and those large brackets that we were talking about. You can see how big they are. But some beautiful trim up under the eaves. Gray has lovely, lovely homes. I don't remember where this window was. But same thing we were talking about, dental molding, window caps, wonderful bags.
Oh, yeah, it's the
Where?
same farmhouse that was there.
Oh, okay,
Side view.
okay. Yeah. Oh, I got my slides mixed up, sorry. Now we're looking at some of the commercial buildings that are left. And this is white, a brick, and it's been a store, and there are doors here that have been bricked in over the years. There were doors on either side that went upstairs. There was a post office there was a barber shop, there was a feed grain store, there was a grocery store, and Jim and I own it. And there's a new addition in the back, maybe 1950s, and the town code has made us put in a fire escape, so he's built a gigantic second means of egress, which actually looks pretty nice on the outside. So we're about 1840s on this home, post and beam construction, very solid. Look how straight the roof is, all those years. And next to it, this one is much newer, and this is around 1890s, 1900, and there were 2 buildings here before, and they burned. So this place was added. There are 3 apartments upstairs, and there's 4 storefronts, 3 storefronts down below. And that's for sale right now for $419,000. I know. He's done quite a bit of work to it. But again, you've got this turn of the century, 1900s facade, kind of a very shallow roof, not much of a pitch. And inside there's some tin ceilings and some other Victorian features that are still there. And then next to it, this building is perhaps the oldest in this trio, and this is the 1830s. And it has a wonderful triangle window up there that used to be an attic, and now it's made into an apartment. And that's the pizza store. And then this is the early store out on, Campbell Shore Road? Campbell Shore Road, and 115, okay? And there was a story actually in the paper just a little while ago about this, and the original store burned down, and this one was built in the 1890s. So again, the end of that Victorian period. And upstairs, there was a room used for church suppers, and there was a wonderful story about that they had church suppers there, or not church, but community suppers there for over 50 years. And now it's an antique store. And you still have a few of your early schools. This is on Center Road, and it's been the one-room schoolhouse, I was told, that's made into a home. And it's not a granite, it's a rubble stone foundation. And sometimes schoolhouses didn't have any foundation at all, they were just up on rocks. And of course they were heated with a wood stove. And I actually went to a one-room school in North Gorham, so that dates me. But, so this is a single-family home now. And then I was told this was a schoolhouse. Yeah, and do you know the age? 1910, maybe 1920? Older than that? Yeah. Big windows, paired, and then 3 in a row, and it's made into a 2-family now, so there's an apartment upstairs, an apartment down. But there is a large lot out back and a nice backyard. So schoolhouses get recycled, and they get moved around, and I understand at one time Gray had 15 districts and 15 schools. And then of course there's your Pennell, and that's, what's the year, Louise? 1876.
They started classes in 1886, but it was being built over a long period of years because it was started before Henry Pennell died, and then things got kind of
Yeah. So it took 10 years to build, and it's absolutely beautiful. What a wonderful, wonderful building, and lots of history here. Now, we were just talking about eras and styles. So 1876, but we're seeing heavy feeling of that Greek revival. So this is like the end. We're seeing arches. We're seeing paired windows, and that, you know, that Roman arch with the keystone at the top. So we're seeing, even though it's brick, it's not a flat brick building. It has some beautiful architectural styles. And so it's the late Victorian period, the Italianate with a little bit of other things. I can't tell what that is, but what a lot of extra work to do all of that detail. And the recess, granite lintels here. Yeah. A beautiful, beautiful building. And sorry, this isn't a good, the light was coming the wrong way, but this is much newer. Do you know the year, Jean? Or?
Oh, not offhand, but it's newer, but it's still part of it.
Yeah, it was a science lab. Yep. So this was built after Pennell, but they copied a lot of the same type of detail to match. This is called a hip roof, and it may have been slate when it was first built. I don't know. And then here's our church. And does anyone know the date?
This was built in 1901.
1901.
One before,
Okay.
actually 1900, it finished in 1901.
Okay, yeah. Okay, now we're seeing some of the same things. We're seeing that wonderful arch that we saw on Pennell. We're seeing the stick, a little bit of support holding there. We're seeing arches, we're seeing dental work here, towers and turrets from that Gothic period. So this is kind of like a colonial revival, and right around 1900 they started copying a lot of the old styles, mixing them together and coming up with reproductions, quote. So this might have very well have been the colonial revival period, but 1900, 1901. I understand this building was moved.
No,
No.
it was built right here.
Okay.
They removed another one that was in its location.
Okay.
They tore it down.
All right. That's
It was a very wet area through there and had rotted out the underpinnings of it, so they had, it was easier to build a new one.
okay.
The one before that was moved, the third one.
A farmhouse, but yet beautiful. Side entry door, facing the road. The what? Foster?
Yes.
Yeah.
Then Foster Hill,
Yeah, it's right near Sear. Yeah, right on 202. Our early barns were separate from the house, and they had their doors were in the side. Those are called English barns. This is an American or New England barn that had the doorway in the gable end. And around after 1860, they started connecting the barns to the homes. This was a very modern form of agriculture. So you didn't have to go across the street to the barn, or you didn't have to travel a long way to take care of the cows. Just walk through the sheds, and there was the barn. So the connected, you heard that, there's a book out called Big House, Little House, Back House Barn by Thomas Hubka, and he talks a lot about connecting the barns. This is Jean Humphrey's family home. It's further up on Route 100 on the left-hand side. And when you go inside, it was built for two families. So she has two kitchens and two living rooms, and there's been a lot of changes there, a lot of changes in the 1940s, but there still are a few early features. And then we have some homes that you can't really put into a period or a name or an era or a style, and we just say farmhouse. This is on Route 100 going south on the right-hand side.
That's the Whitney farm. As I
Okay.
understand it, he told us his folks, his grandparents, lifted, that top hat was really the first floor,
Up here, okay?
and they lifted it up and built underneath it.
All right, well that starts to make sense then. So where that window is would have been a door. Yep, and then we would have had two little tiny bedrooms upstairs for Pete. So that would make sense. If you go to Brunswick, the Joshua Chamberlain house is the same thing. It was a cake, they lifted it up, and underneath put this Victorian first floor. So very different styles there. Yeah, they turned that. that one. I'm wondering if there's finished rooms down there too. That looks kind of interesting. So you might, if you go inside, you might find an early house upstairs, you never know. This is coming over the Dutton Hill, and this house sits way back. And again, back to the early that we talked about, being close, tight to the ground. It's so sweet. It has apple trees. It's just a beautiful spot, stone walls, everything. And I've had people tell me, if it ever comes up for sale, let us know, because that's what we want. And then there's our capes that are right on the road, and we have those everywhere. Here, the barn is separated from the house, but that doesn't mean that there wasn't a shed there at one time. And then some houses are such a mixture. You look at it and you say, what is it? I don't know. Look at this house. But if you go inside, there's a surprise, because there's a very early federal room inside of raised paneling, chair rails, wainscoting, beautiful mantel. So did they bring that room from another house and put it in, or did they take another house and just completely alter it? It's hard to say, so you almost have to go inside before you can make decisions. And here's that nest of chimneys we were talking about. Center chimney is gone. And here, something just doesn't look quite right. It's a lovely home, well taken care of. And what it is the overhang. We didn't have overhangs in the early periods. Those came much later in that Italianate period. So somebody put on a new roof, and of course they added this new chimney. That's not original. But it just changes the whole look. And so sometimes you'll look at a house and say, it doesn't look quite right. I know there's something that's not the way it should be. But it's okay. They protected the home. The home is in good shape, and it's well taken care of. A nice new roof. But it's not the way it was. And very simple. Again, there are those skylights we talked about that shouldn't see them. Should be in the back. Very modest. Early homes didn't have much landscaping. Our shrubs and all of our lilacs and things came later. I don't remember where this is. It's got some corner squares and corner block molding here, which is that Greek revival. Yeah. Higher posted cape. Now we've got space over the windows like we talked about the earlier capes didn't. So again, the higher posted capes came later. This is probably Greek revival. The side lights go all the way down. On the federal period, they only go halfway down. This is probably a Greek revival home, 1820s, 1860s. And here, this looks right. It just, with that large chimney right in the center, it's a wide cape. So a lot of this is they liked it. And now we have to try to get back to a pleasing facade. And watch out, people. Like here they're adding, is it a deck? Is it a sunroom? Is it a screen porch? It just doesn't go with this early home. There's been some changes, so just be careful. If you don't know, call in somebody that does. Go to Greater Portland Landmarks. Use their library. Look up what mantles should look like or front doors should look like. And people can copy. Here there's a big change. There's a roof line.
That's the portion that was brought in 1850, secondhand.
Okay. So an early home that they're modernizing, but it's probably going to be okay. They've got the right angles here. So they're adding space and trying to do it appropriately. That's the connected barn. Again, it looks right. It's our Freeman farm. And this is on the historic register, and there's preserved farmland out back. It's 85 acres that can never be built on or cut or split or sold. It has to stay together. And then the house was sold with 15 acres and the rest of the land, so they can do things with the 15 acres out front. So it has the look of just a wonderful early home with the center chimney and the symmetry and the beautiful simple features. But when you go inside, there's so many changes. Oh my goodness, sheetrock and took out molding and took out chair rails and took out. There's only 2 rooms left of beautiful original woodwork. I have a lot of pictures over there on one of the inside pictures on one of the tables. There's some interesting murals inside. There's a beautiful barn out back.
Did they remove the doors for the panels that were painted?
Yeah, those are still there.
That's the one.
Yeah, yeah. Remember we were talking about shutters? Look at that front. It's too crowded. There's no room. There's no breathing space. The shutters aren't appropriate. But it's interesting. It looks like a brick home that's been parged over. It's not clapboarded. And then we have brick homes everywhere in Gray. I couldn't believe how many brick homes there were. It's wonderful. This is on 115. I've heard there's original stenciling inside. I want to just stop and knock on her door and find out. And we have wonderful brick homes. You know where that is? Yeah. Yeah. This is a great barn. Look at the cupola and look at the window lights up there. I just fell in love with the barns. There's so many beautiful barns. This is a close-up of that house on Hunt's Hill, and look at the interesting windows. They're not original, but they're still pretty cool. There would have been small panes of glass up here, separate panes. And this portico probably came later. This is quite Victorian with all of the scrolls and decorative carvings, but it's a wonderful home. Look at that barn, wow. But it's been recycled here. It's now part of a business. Lots of storage. Yeah? Okay, where is this brick home?
That's Meg Beck's house.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's on town farm.
So if you have a brick home, you research when the brickyard's opened, then you have an idea of when your house was built. And I don't know when they were opened in the 1870s, 1860s.
The Panel Institute was, the brick there came from the Goff brickyard down on off of River Road.
Yeah.
Near the bridge.
Yeah. And probably most of the other bricks came from there too.
There were brickyards, there was a brickyard right down on Center Road here in that part.
Yeah.
Webster.
Okay.
Webster was out.
What road is this on?
26 on Route 26.
Okay. Yeah.
The tavern.
It was a tavern. Okay.
In the front. Those steps are down front.
Look.
Notice that?
Yeah.
You walk out, go straight ahead, you got a big step.
Look at the how the chimney is part of the house. That's interesting. Just lovely. Granite lintels over the top, granite pier. Where's the Moore's house?
That's it. That's it. That's awesome.
I know, but where is it located?
Right this side, on the corner of Long Hill and
Okay.
Route 100.
All right, yeah.
Heavens eventually down there.
This is back in the center of town. That brick has been painted.
Lynn?
Yeah.
On the Moss house, it would be interesting if you stop and see Mr. Moss and go down under the barn.
Okay.
The center post under the barn
Yeah.
is actually a log with a bark on the tree.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen that.
Not too often, but we do sometimes. Yeah. But there's the front of that home, and we had seen those same windows. There was a window salesman that came through and got everybody to change their side lights and their top lights. And what a beautiful home.
All house dirty.
A recessed doorway, and this has glass over the lights on the top. A Victorian door. See that oval? So that's newer. The house is older. But that house is as lovely from the front as from the back because there's another road behind it. And there's the back section. It's not your typical rear house. Look at all the chimneys. Goodness.
That's the one that used to be the old
Alms house. Okay. Okay. The Alms house. Again, that same window salesman, see? The tiny windows. like that. You come out that front door, these are granite slabs all piled up.
That's where the cabin was.
I was married in that house and I threw my bouquet off those steps.
I have never seen that in another house. It's just
Isn't there
beautiful.
one in Wyndham like that?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know where.
Was too close?
Because the road was too close?
I don't know, was it?
Are there rooms finished down below? Usually this, I mean, there's a window right there. Usually this is underground.
They said they came out of the cabin a little loaded, they went straight ahead.
There's the dental work that we were talking about, and the fan over the door, the side lights halfway down. So we have a federal, a late federal, early something else, early Italianate house. So it's a transitional house, a little bit of everything there. I don't know. I would say maybe 1830s, 1840s. It depends on when the brickyards were open. That's the snow house with a bathtub for sale.
Is that original name?
That's a planter. No, it's for sale. A wonderful, wonderful home, and it's got apartments in it. It's got a business in the barn. It's been for sale. It's hard to sell because there isn't too much land with it. We don't have, public septic in town. So someone wanted to do a restaurant there years ago. Didn't work out. See the fan? Can you just barely see the fan here? The side lights halfway down. We talked about the door's been changed and altered. The granite lintels, everything's been painted. Originally, it wasn't painted. Painting came later. See the granite? Wonderful. When you see the steps, you see little holes, 2 little holes. That was for the boot scraper, right? Brick homes, they're beautiful. Yeah? Yeah, right. Do you know how old it is?
It was about 1912 or 13.
Yeah, okay,
And
yeah.
was abandoned in 1950.
Yeah. So this is where the people would hang out while they're waiting for the train to come. And it's been turned into a home, and it's an upside down home. They have bedrooms on the first floor and kitchens and things upstairs, so it's different. Yeah, so it was a daycare, yeah, or is, yeah. And there's a brick. What was it before the fire department?
Town hall.
Yeah,
Town hall.
the town hall. And there's still meeting rooms upstairs. So I don't know if we have a date on that, but
1838.
1838, okay. Then we're getting past the 1900s now. We're getting into 1910, 1915. This is a bungalow, 1 story. Sometimes this is an attic, sometimes it may be a finished room. But it's sort of like our ranch now, except that it's more square. It's not as thin and long and narrow. So the bungalows are really important. They came from India, the style came over here. And you've seen bungalows on every corner in every town. So this is your library that was a school, but it's a bungalow style. And here's a small, modest bungalow with a handicap ramp. Bungalow. That porch has been enclosed, now it's a room. So these are easy to spot. The next one after the turn of the century, and this could be 1915, 1920, 1915, 1920, sorry. This is called a 4-square. And because there were 4 rooms up and 4 rooms down. And I found at a yard sale last year a book for 25 cents that I could send away for plans back in 1912, and all kinds of plans of 4 squares are in that book. So hardwood floors, plaster walls, stained, dark Victorian stained woodwork. This is a larger 4 square. See how the top, if you slice it off, almost looks like a bungalow.
Yes,
But
I have a
it's
question. That is the Sears and Roebuck.
It could be, yep, and you could send away out of the catalog and order a kit, and it would be delivered, and you'd put it up, and you'd find that same style all over the United States. So that's a 4-square, and here's a beautiful elaborate one. But the same idea, if you sliced it here, it would look like a bungalow, but it's 2 stories. Porches are on a lot of them everywhere. Dutch colonial, after 1920s, maybe 1930s, 1940s. See the gambrel? See the step-back dormers front and back. So we don't see too many of these. I only could find 2. But they're easy to spot. So now I just want to do a tiny bit on barns. You could spend a whole couple of hours just on barns. That's the side entry English barn that we talked about with a door on the side. And here is a modern gambrel with an older home on top of Dutton Hill. So that barn could be 1950s. And this barn's been converted into a business. So here's your Busy Bee coffee shop right down here, connected to the house, which is all they rent rooms out there. They have cabins out in back. And this is that connected barn. This is a New England style. So if the gable end is facing the road and you have a door under the gable, that's a New England style of barns. After 1860s, the English barns were more common before the 1830s. The barns are huge. How big this is.
A silo inside.
Really? Yeah. Sheds were used. This could be wood sheds on the side L and used as barns. Or maybe there's a barn missing that we don't see that was right there. A chicken barn. Okay. Sometimes barns are in better shape than the houses. That's to bring the air up through and circulate. If you look closer, there's some shingles here from the shingle style period. The early house needs some work. See, can you see it a little better? They're original. Sometimes, as we already talked about, barns were moved and sometimes converted. So this cow barn was made into chickens. So there was all kinds of floors inside. And this was Warren Whitney owned this house. And this is on Center Road. And the barn is huge. The house is very small. And sometimes barns are in better shape than the house. So I don't know what that was, but that's not well built and it's not there anymore. It was an early home, but the barn looks pretty good. And then some homes, of course, are in such good shape. They've been well taken care of, and their value is there. And this one has quite a bit of land with it too. So it's a very nice home. There's another nice barn. This is on Center Road, and the Honeywells have lived there, and they have horses. It's a working barn. There's cows, horses. Yeah, bigger than the house. And this is my favorite barn. Look at that beautiful window. Hey! Do you know how old the barn is?
No, I don't. The house, I think about 1820s, but the barn, I think you go after that. I
Yes.
can find out when.
Yeah, that makes sense. So 1820s here, and they've got 2 doors, a beautiful front door and a beautiful side door. The side lights we talked about, then the barn came later. But I just love those windows. There's a better picture. You don't see barns like that very often.
Those windows were added because the chicken floors were put in there.
Okay.
The original barn didn't have about 3 windows in the front.
Okay, good. Good to know. Write all this down and give it to your historical society for their files on old houses. These are just connected barns on modest homes. And that one's not connected anymore. Some barns are huge. You restored furniture in there for quite a while. Some barns have some interesting features. This has a metal roof, which is wonderful granite ramp leading right up there. And that's in great shape. Isn't that pretty? See why I had to wait for the leaves. I never had taken a picture of this. There's another ramp, only this is rubblestone ramp leading up to those big doors. And there were doors at the back because the hay wagons would drive right through, front to back. You don't have any Tudor style, and so this is up in Raymond, but it has the feeling of a cottage with the points, a little gingerbread, little curved doorway. So Tudor after 1900, 1920, 1930. Some homes are pretty bad. This is in Raymond, right over the gray line on the North Raymond Road. And pretty sad, pretty shabby, but it was sold a year ago, and the person who's living in it is fixing it up and, believe it or not, saving it. So it looks a lot different now. This is in Wyndham. Can you adjust the focus? And what do you call it? Well, if you use common sense, it's a brick ender. See? Brick ender. So that's a good name, but it's an early house. What you call this up in New Gloucester? Could be a federal period, but it could even be older. It could be the Georgian period before the Revolution, because New Gloucester was settled early and has many early homes. So this is a Georgian. This is in Bridgeton. What do you call it? The store. Italianate, okay? With those big brackets and the wonderful oval tops and all the decorative features. It's wonderful. And there's that roof. This is in Portland. Remember the name? Mansard, yep. On an Italianate brick home. That's in Portland. This is in Raymond. What do you call it? This front part? Bungalow, yeah. And they added a funky addition. I don't know. And this is stick. This is in Brunswick. Remember we were talking about stick that we don't see here? When it looks like the framing is coming through, but it's really not. It's just fake boards put on. It's not any timber framing at all. And this is a Gothic home with all kinds of gingerbread on it. The points we talked about. What do you call this? It's in Raymond. Castle, yes. And the owner's name is
King.
King, yes. It's made out of cement blocks. And he's still working on it. And what do you call this in Sebago Lake Village? Yeah. It's just a very modest farmhouse, very simple, but again, he's showing his colors here. What do you call that? Yes, up in Raymond. House that Jack built, and it was a gift shop in the 1940s. A restaurant. And this is the Parson Smith house, the Georgian period, 1764. Absolutely beautiful. 124 original acres. It's for sale right now, $729,000. You can never sell a piece of land. You cannot alter the house, but you can change the cosmetics. And you can farm the land and have animals and have barns, but you can't ever subdivide it. And there's an English barn. We were talking about the side entry. And we don't have gambrel homes, but this is right up the road at the Shaker Village, right? And this is gambrel.
Meeting house.
Yeah, that's their meeting house. It's absolutely gorgeous. If you haven't seen it, go see it. It has original blue paint inside, which is just amazing. And all plaster. It's wonderful. What is this?
Wedding cake house.
Okay. Where is it? Right. But look underneath all of that. This is the Gothic period with the points and the gingerbread that we talked about. Look underneath, and you have the center door, side lights, paired symmetrical windows, small panes of glass. You have a federal home built in the 1820s that was modernized in the 1830s or 40s when the Gothic period came. So they took an early home and changed it. Okay? And that's it. Thank you.
All right, there is drinks and cookies and things, and if you get around and look around a minute or two or whatever, and then come back because we'd like another 10 minutes to talk to you.
And I've got things to show, and then we have another man who's going to talk just a minute about insurance.
Gracious God, what a privilege it is to join your people to the generations who have entered your holy presence with gifts of worship, with tokens of gratitude and prayers of thanksgiving. We bring these, our gifts, as gifts of worship to you. We thank you for all the blessings